issues you ran into, it didn't work somewhere, it failed, just things that happened the past couple weeks. Yeah, you don't need a password. Yep, fire away, Diva.
I wanted to ask, I had an order sitting yesterday and today also, but which one to choose if I have a fib retracement and there's Kelt also in the way?
Are you talking?
I'm saying, say, like
Can I
today
not
I
hear
did
you
a
guys?
trade.
Yeah, she's talking. I can hear her.
One sec.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Meanwhile, CJ, your cam is working. I mean, on if it is intended.
Okay, now I can hear you guys. Shit. All right, go ahead, Diva.
I wanted to ask, like, if there is a retracement, but the retracement is not to the fib level,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a Kelt in between, say 5-minute Kelt. Actually, that's what stopped me. So 5-minute Kelt. So should we enter, I mean, if it's an outside shot for 5 minutes and not wait for the retracement to actually hit the fib?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the point of tying everything in together, right? It's being aware of what can stop that process from happening. So yeah, if there's something there that's going to prevent it, all that tells you is that there's more strength since it's not completing the retrace and something else is holding it up. But you're still going to wait for everything to align before you execute. But that's a good question.
Because it happened yesterday. I had an order to take along first thing in the morning, 9:30, but it never touched my point because it was like shooting up. And after that, after one candle, I didn't want to chase. I could clearly see that I'm not going to get the fill that I wanted.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to chase, so I left the trade. And today also it happened, but today my brain was working and I was like, I'm just doing MES now, micro, not even ES. So I was like, why am I waiting? It is giving me outside shot, and I'm waiting for it to go inside and reject from over there in the front for the fib retracement. So I entered today. I did not think that much. So I just wanted you, I was thinking that I should ask you, is it better to take outside shot instead of waiting for the fib retracement, or to wait if the fib is inside the Kelt? Josh, did you hear me?
I can hear you. I think Paul is on mute.
Yeah, I think we lost Paul.
His power is gone, so he might come back once his internet is back.
Maybe he went to trade.
Yep, he's in Discord. His power was gone, so he might come back.
How did everybody trade today? Everybody have a good day?
Yes, kind of. I did not take the downside, but I went like it touched the 15 minutes bottom, and I made an entry, and I think even on the retrace, and then it did bounce back, but then it went it went back to the daily. So I was sitting in the losses, and then it came back up. So finally I'm like $800 plus on ES and then $200 on SPY and SPX from being like down $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I'm going to speak for myself, right? But hindsight is always easier after the fact. So, and then sometimes you have to really trust that process and where you're gonna enter, especially when it's pulling back and you're trying to jump in on a pullback, contemplating, is it gonna blow back, go too far into drawdown past my entry point? Or, is this whatever, whether it's supply demand or a fib area, is this fib area gonna hold up with it? And that's just kind of part of the learning process that you gotta trust the process sometimes and kind of know that the probability, if you have a good strategy, is gonna be profitable more times than not. But that's just how it is
Kind
sometimes.
of like, yeah, I did not take the loss because I was thinking that it's definitely going to go up, but somehow it continued to go down. But I'm happy that whatever I was looking for yesterday happened finally. Like I met the target in a way, but frustrated because I could have taken the opportunity to take it down to like 100 points and I make $7,000 right down on that.
Okay.
Hey, Paul.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
an inverter.
It's so annoying, man. All right, let's see. Let's make sure we're recording screen. Share screen.
What sucks for you is that you're on that Texas power grid that always lets up, especially in the wintertime, right?
Dude, it's terrible. And I came from Washington where like it would just storm like crazy. It would never go out. And if it's just like cloudy here, like the power is going out.
See,
It's
I'm
crazy.
I'm in West Texas, but I'm with New Mexico's power grid, so we don't have that issue, which is great.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is terrible here. So that's Viva, what I was gonna say is that's one of the reasons why I don't set stop limits for my orders to buy,
Yes.
because I
Okay.
like to be able to react and make adjustments and conform to like whatever happens as far as the conditions. Stop limits for selling is different, but it's hard to get a perfect entry, especially with these algos. They're crazy to get those perfect orders that we want. And a lot of
I'll try to
times,
do that.
yeah, you did.
But the problem with me is if I don't have the order already sitting, I would take forever to just think whether I should enter or not. And by then the trade is gone, or I'll just end up chasing and getting just losses. So I have to do it to overcome my fear,
I
actually.
gotcha. So that's good. Good decision. But so what makes you freeze up when that trade's coming to your level, if you're planned for it and that's where you know you want it? What happens?
Because say if so today my order was at 4450. And I could see, I mean, I was doing it from pre-market, I was watching it. It went to 4446, even 4447. And I knew it would not go to 4450, but I did not take a shot then and there. I'm still thinking, I'm seeing it's not going to go over there. And I'm still thinking whether I should enter or not. And then at 9:30 when the candle came and I could clearly see it's not going to go up and I'm not going to get my fill. And then I entered. But the thing is, if I enter like that, I have to move my stop, because then otherwise it would just get hit and I would be out of the trade, even from the profitable trade.
Right.
So I had to move my stop, and I have blown so many accounts just by moving my stop. So, I don't want to go through that vicious circle again and again.
Yeah.
That is why now I've started trading micros. I want to prove it that I can do it with micros only. I don't want to do it for
You know
big
what? I started doing one thing now. I am taking the profit stop loss for 100 or 150, but I'm not taking the stop loss because that takes me out of the trade anyway.
Say that again. What do you mean?
So I'm my profit target is less than, sometimes I'm just looking for a small move, then I will just set a profit target, right? There are two stop loss. One is profit loss and profit, take profit and stop loss, right? So I'm not taking the stop loss for the entry. I'm just watching it and making sure that I get out. I'm not adding like 2 or 3. I'm just entering with one lot only, one
Right.
order.
Got
So
it.
I can manage. So my daily loss limit is 500, right? So if I'm wrong, then I will be out for 500 anyway. If that is extreme, downside on my trade. So, but then I'm taking out, that gives me a confirmation because I'm just waiting for the right setup, like confluence of everything, like it's over the calt, and getting more understanding that if it is, it gets over the any kind of like upper calt or lower calt, is definitely going to retest it. So I'm waiting for that retest and using the FIPS to make sure that I'm looking at the right direction. So
Good.
I'm just waiting for the trades actually these days.
Perfect. That's perfect. So that's a good thing, Viva. I mean, we've talked about that before a bunch. Like when you're learning, it can't be about making money. It can't be about like recouping what you lost or getting rich or hitting some goal. It can't be, or else you're just gonna get yourself stuck in that stupid cycle. Just repeat behavior. The same thing's gonna happen. You have to start with a manageable position that you can get in a trade and weather red conditions. You can weather the up and down. You can weather the process of a trade so that you understand what it feels like to get into a trade, because it's not just getting into a trade. I got the right entry. Everything's perfect. I just go right to my target. That's what we talk about. And that's what things look like after the fact when the market's not moving. We're discussing how to enter and how to exit, but that's not what actually is happening when you're executing a trade during the day. There's all kinds of chaos. There's all kinds of shit going on. And in order to learn and get the feeling for that, you have to be in a size position that you can manage, not one that you get in all the time. And the second things go a different direction, you have to jump out. It's just, you can't learn that way. And that's the part of trading that nobody can sit there and teach you. You can't take 900 classes with me or the greatest trader on earth and they can teach you what that is. That's a thing that's only developed by trading, by being in the seat. So
You are right. You are too right. That is why this has only started since yesterday. So yesterday I had the first trade I entered was a loss. And had it been mini, then I would have just blown away with that. But with this, I was not, because I was like calm. Okay, it is just $120. I can recover it.
exactly.
And I did recover. I still ended up a little bit red, but it's okay. I know I executed poorly after that in taking profit. Otherwise, it would have been a green day for me. But at least I was not like entering just in any trade just to recover my loss. It wasn't that feeling at all.
Right. And also you gain, even if you took a small loss or whatever, you gained that time in the seat that I'm talking about. You're sitting in a trade, you're experiencing the price movement, bouncing on the levels rather than no experience. So
another point is, if I can add, Viva, that I used to regret on my stop loss or anything, that if I'm not able to take the trade, I stopped doing it, and it's changing my psychology on that part also, that I'm not regretting, which means I'm not jumping in just to recover my losses. I will come back maybe next day.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else want to recap anything from the first 2 weeks?
I'll just say that I've been using that extension on different. I know you stick to your time frames, but I've been using them on tick charts and range bars, as I always say. And I think that there's a pattern there, but you have to you have to watch it, right? And you got to be ready to draw it out and then test those levels and then jump in a trade when it happens.
because it's faster, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's crazy how no matter what size it is, the same pattern is just duplicating itself a million times over from smallest to biggest. Like it's wild.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, we should get on screen share and mess around with some tick charts. I'd be interested in messing around with that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, man. You just let me know and we'll jump on there and see.
Cool. Anybody else? What's up, Felon? Welcome, dude.
What up? I could talk about my day, man. I've been traveling all last week and short week. Just kind of getting the cobwebs out and posting the room. So I was 1 for 3 today, but my last one made up for all the losses. So it was cool. It's just I'm trying to get more into being patient for it, and like I knew it was going to be testing. You see where I put that 3 at? Like, so I had like a little way of like when I'm looking at the book, I'm waiting to see all these bids get taken out, and then once something flips up, like remember I kept talking about 35. So the first 2, I felt the FOMO, and I still got in just because I thought the move was going to happen, and I had my trade ready and whatnot. But I just kind of want to tie that into like I know there's a lot of people that don't use stop losses, but I do. And there's a lot of people that do, and it helps a lot. Just getting over taking losses and just trusting your system. I mean, I took 2 straight, pretty back-to-back ones, but if you keep them small, all you really need is one good one to get them back.
Yeah, I agree, dude. Like I'm not against stop losses. It's just my preference to be able to react. And I have gotten to the point where it's not I don't like wait for a trade and hope. Like I stick to my script. But you make a good point. Like if you're having trouble, a real hard time of cutting trades and you taking losses, then it might be a good idea to set stops and to force yourself to take losses instead of taking the big shots. So I think that's a good decision for you, man.
I got a
All right.
question for you on the
Mhm.
on the Celts, right? This is a little off, but can you use them when it kind of like you do the Bollinger Bands, like on a TTM squeeze, when you see them contracting on the lower time frames for expansion, once price starts moving with some volatility, or not exactly?
Yeah, so I'll show you something real quick. That's
Because I was looking at them right now.
here's a let's just do like a 30-minute. Let me show you what an actual TTM squeeze is. That chart's
Isn't
ugly.
it just like a Keltner and a
Bollinger
Bollinger
Band.
Band, yeah.
Bollinger
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
one-
So that's the whole point. Yeah. So once it's coiling inside the other band, that's when the squeeze connects. And so typically they use that squeeze setting 20 and 20 on both of them. I used to use Bollinger Band set on 8 and run that squeeze, and I built some indicators around that. This is a little bit faster, but it's the same principle. Yeah, when the channels are coiling and compressing, that's when you hear me say it's coiling, because
Okay, that
as soon
makes
as they
sense,
start
yeah.
compressing, that's only going to be for a limited amount of time, depending on intraday, depending on the time frame. But I love looking for that. I used to use the Bollinger Bands for that purpose, but I realized you don't really need to. You can just rely on the Celts coiling up. But yeah,
Yeah, I've used the bands quite a bit more, But when I was looking at the Celts, I started noticing that too. And I mean, I know that they use it in the concept or in that actual TTM, but I was just curious because I can see it now when they start contracting and then I start looking for that expansion move. But
Mhm.
cool.
Yep.
Funny you bring that up because I kind of started using the TTM instead of the signal on my Mac D. So like, and
Yeah.
they kind of go, well, the histogram on the Mac D is pretty much already doing what the TTM is doing, basically, from what
Yeah.
what I gather when I read. But I like the color of it. So like, when it cross, I have them on the same scale too. So when it crosses above it, that's when I start to like kind of look for reversals and whatnot.
Yep.
It's just
It-
an add-on though. Like it doesn't mean it'll happen though.
no, it's another good ancillary tool just to help you trigger. Hmm. It's one of like the very few selection of lower indicators that I would say that I like outside MACD, just because I try to simplify everything on my charts and get rid of everything that's not needed. But all right, let's so anything else about the first 2 weeks, any fibs or any channels? We're gonna circle back to that stuff. I just want to get basically the foundation of everything covered and get everyone on the same page as far as it, and then we're going to circle back through things and piece it together strongly and add a lot more stuff. But one thing that we haven't covered really at all is flow index. So I want to cover that today as far as 1 minute and the bigger time frames and some stuff that I've learned now that we've expanded time frames and some things that I've noticed. But does everyone in here have a good grasp of flow index, or is there weak spots or confusing spots or spots where you think something's happening and it's not happening?
I always get kind of confused about like, I know it's not on the same scale, but like how much out zoomed I should be.
Yeah,
Especially
that's
on like a minute.
that's kind of a preference. So all this tool is, well, I mean, it's more than just all this tool is, but it's simple, but it's basically giving you like the confirmation for any of your trade setups. So if I'm using this during the day for 1 minute, I'm just finding out if they're buying, if they're selling, if there's divergence, and that's letting me know. So if I need to be zoomed in to see what's going on, if I need to be zoomed in to find divergence, then that's what I need to do. If I need to scale out to see if they're moving on a trend or a channel, then I need to zoom out. This is telling me the story of what's going on a lot more than I talk about it during the day, which I should, but sometimes I just think people aren't going to understand what I'm saying, so I just leave it alone, which is why I want to spend some time on it. But this process, everything that's happening on the flow index is pre-price. So all these other tools that we're using outside of, range tools are lagging. They're based on historical and time and whatever. This is telling you what is going to happen. This is the only thing that I know of that can predict what's going to happen. So really, there's no excuse for any of us to make mistakes because we have that ability, and it's just not taking enough time to understand or read what we're looking at, which I'm guilty of all the time too. I can get caught up in looking at other tools and not reading this during the day. But we're going to go over all the different scenarios, especially absorption, which you might hear Styles talk about a lot, which is a huge way to tell for a reversal or a breakout when something like this today comes to the end of the road after aggressive selling or aggressive buying. And we get down to this point and we're just channeled and even when we break the channel, price can't break. When this situation happens right here, they're transitioning. It's the termination phase of a move, and they're going to transition, whether it's going to be aggressive and they're going to explode for a buyout, or they're just going to slowly grind and price is going to break out like this. So this is probably the most overlooked thing. You know, me and Traxler talked about this the other day, but we never talk about this as far as this happening, which happens on a daily basis at the end of each trend. Does that make sense?
So
Yes.
according to you, right? What is a good entry point here?
So expanding on our execution that we did, we first talked about, all of these tools and everything that we're going to put together and keep adding, they're all used to tell you yes or no, or to tell you if it's time to trade it, or what's going to happen, right? So there's no like black or white answer. I'm reading a tool, and the second I can read it and it tells me, and I know, okay, this is happening, then that's my trigger for any tool that I'm using. There's no black and white answer. It's my ability to understand and determine its behavior, and as fast as I can, when I can pick up the reading. And so in this situation, probably I'm always looking for these channel breakouts. I call these hot boxes, because typically the algos will get boxed in like this, and then when they break out of the box, then price is going to go along with them. That's typically what happens. So in this case, that's what I would have been waiting for, to see if we're going to continue. But as soon as it broke down and it didn't, that would have told me, okay, they're done. They just heave-hoed. They just threw a big burst program at it to try to break it down, and price didn't break down. And so this is also important that you guys don't confuse these with shit. I don't want that one. Right. Some of these levels with divergence, because they're not. You want to watch these prices like this channel when it's sideways. This is being absorbed, right? And this is an important read, because this can tell you exactly what you're asking. Right now, the typical pattern is algos throw a burst program, they break out of the channel they're in, price breaks its level, and we keep pushing down. That gives the algos more opportunity to start selling, more programs to start firing off, and the domino effect. But they don't, because this just gets absorbed right here. Price doesn't go anywhere. The buyers just absorb that program, gobble it right up. And so that tells me, as soon as this starts to go up, that we're going to slingshot. That's important. Whenever price gets absorbed in anything, if it gets absorbed selling or buying, as soon as the algos turn around and go the direction that was absorbed by, price is going to move fast. And that's exactly what happens here. So this pretty much, even though it's on a down move, this is all just getting absorbed. Like right in here, it's just every program that fires, absorbed.
It showed on the heat map too. Like it was never able to get past that 420.
Yep, that was 420 was the key level.
And, like, you'll see it too the more you watch the heat map. Like there wasn't really much above, but once it couldn't get past that 420, 35 lit up, and it was new liquidity, and usually market wants new liquidity over hold, from the way I learned heat map.
Yep, absolutely.
That's why I kept hammering that 35. I mean,
Which is a good way to tie in those level twos. On the side, which is what I like to do, is same thing as you do with the heat map. So does absorption make sense to everyone as far as what you're looking at there?
Well, Josh, one point out
I know
here,
that it
right?
doesn't, so you guys need to speak up, because I know I'll get like 10 more messages
Josh, one point
I've
of
asked for a
clear.
long time, and that's the best explanation I've ever heard of absorption. So it makes a lot of sense.
Wait. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, man. I thought I was not audible. So one point out here, right? The flow went down. The flow went down of the orders, right?
Hmm.
The price didn't come down, but
Hmm.
it could have been the other way around too, right? Like after first the flow follows, then usually the price follows. That's usually the tendency. That's what I've seen in flows, and that's what I was trying. I would rely on that. I would rely that to happen. The price to come follow the order eventually. If not with it, probably later.
The flow?
Yeah,
No, not always, right?
not
Becau-
always. Yeah.
Because well, there's the simplicity of it. There's that flow is going to be pushing price the same direction. It's going to be diverging, or it's going to be getting absorbed. Those are the simplest formats for it. So I can't always assume that the algo is selling and that price is going to be coming down after it. If there's divergence, yes. If there's absorption, no, absolutely not. This algo could drop for an hour straight and price could be sideways. And then the second the algo turns up to start buying, boom, it will price will explode.
Okay, so in this situation, let's say algos were still selling and the price was stagnant right there in the box.
Mhm.
What would have been your entry if the price started sliding down outside just below the box where it was?
Yeah, so again, it's not just on this. That would have been my trigger. And so for today, I had the daily mid as the target. There was still room to the daily mid. So I was taking retrace, find an entry back in, retrace, entry back in. When we got to this point, I would still be looking for the breakout. So price breaks down right here. Me personally, I get a little aggressive when we got momentum and I start getting some money stacked and I have a cushion. Then I'll take these breakouts, price break, because I wanted it there, but price didn't break down. So if price breaks down out of there, then I would have probably took the momentum, but that's not always. That's case by case. The typical scenario is just treating this just the same way you would anything else, right? So if you have this, you have an entry level, or fib or Kelt or whatever you're taking your entry at, you're still going to treat the entry the same. This is just guiding you and telling you what's happening, right? So everyone spends all this time, trying to solve the market and figure out what's it doing and what are they doing and X, Y, and Z. The sellers are doing this and buyers are doing this and trying to figure it out. And when you don't have to, this simple roadmap right here is going to tell you exactly what's happening in a simpler version. So that's what you're using it for. You have your whole entire tool system. You have all your tools, your structure, your foundation, your trigger, all your setup. And then this is the final thing saying, yes, if I can send it, no, don't send it, or wait, or whatever. This is your final trigger, I guess.
I guess the question I got is, it's making higher lows, right? Like as an overall trend, but I guess within the trend, it's making lower highs, right? So when do you determine it's a pivot point and it's like, oh, it's not going up anymore? Because you can see some really violent turn downs.
It's a great question.
Obviously I'm trying to get better at raising my stop loss or riding a trend line a little bit to grab more of the move. I will say prior to where I am at now, I was like market exiting when I would see I'd be like, oh shit.
Like this, or like that.
Or like even a little more to the right, where it just like,
right here.
That's probably the end of the day anyways. But yeah, like right there, like I'd be like, oh man, this is about to break that lower high that was put in just to the right of your cursor.
Mhm.
I need to get out because it's going to reverse, or I need to go short or whatever. I've gotten a little bit better at it, but I'm asking where would you say the
No, that's like 100% an amazing question. It's a good question because when I was first learning how to use this, the same shit would happen to me. Like even a small turn, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, we're going down. Oh shit, we're going." It would, and so I used to have a moving average built in along this, so it would kind of like hug the trends pretty good, and that's kind of what I got used to. I should add that back on for people, but there's one on the web version still, isn't there? Yeah, maybe. But anyway, that's what got me used to it. But there's a better way to solve that, right? Like when you're mapping out things properly and you're going from point A to point B, and you're doing it consistently enough that you know that process takes place, then that helps you getting faked out by stuff like this. And so more time in the seat is an answer to that as well. Like it's just something that you get used to, a feel, and being able to put this into perspective, right? So if I'm making trades along there, then I have to be aware of this, right? Like, okay, so here's where things change. This is where we broke free from the top, and so they've tested it. This is where the algo is going to change. So I need to be mindful of that on a longer trend if I'm in something longer, and also a trend line. Like,
okay.
you
So-
have to be aware of all these things
Yeah.
because they
So
matter,
you-
right?
So you would have added that consolidation box plus the trend line, because that's where I'm like, sometimes I'll add 1, 2, maybe 3 things, and I'm like, oh man, now I'm contradicting myself, or I'm adding too many things. So I guess it's finding the right
I
recipe.
wouldn't have added that trend line. I don't add trend lines a lot because you can look at something and kind of just see, right? Like I can see the trends there. So I don't bother like adding it. I do these all day long. I do these
Okay.
all day long because it happens all day long. And I want to see when they change their behavior, because it's the same thing as price, right? Instead of spending time over here on price, which is just an after fact of things, this is just, a cause happens and then we see the after effect of it in a visual of price. This is what's causing that to happen. So I don't need to spend time drawing a box or a trend line on price, because I'm going to see it happen here first. And so I spend more time dancing around with this and watching the higher lows on this and whatnot than I do on price. I mean, I don't even do it on price at all, really. People are like higher low, lower low. That's great, and to each their own, but I don't spend any time with that on price. I don't even watch them really. I watch them on this. So
Okay.
I guess spending more time evaluating this, it's just something that you get used to. I know the feeling. You're not alone in that. Aggressive, spikes down or whatever that make you flinch and you think it's starting to go down, but pair it with the trend and the trade you're in, right? Like, if you're going from point A to point B, be mindful of what they're doing. Don't draw 100,000 things, but watch it. Like if you did this, that would have gave you some guidance, right?
Yeah, and so basically, if you would have drew that box, and then just to the right where it's the 130, if that little dip would have went back into that box or broke the top of that box, you would have probably said, okay, something is probably happening here.
Yeah, and also it matters about the trade, right? Like, am I in down here and I'm up a ton already, and I'm just like not going to deal with something like that, or did I get in right here and it's a little scalp or whatever? So those things matter too, right? This is another thing to help you on an entry. This is telling you all the time what's going on. I mean, we retrace right here and this holds that level we're kind of watching basically, that's another thing that's going to tell me, okay, price isn't breaking down any more than that right here. We stopped right here. Like here's our retrace. Algo's got a hold in themselves. Now they're climbing again.
Oh, that's
Another
funny.
entry
That's like
right
a
here.
mini version of what you just showed to the
Right.
left. Yeah,
Yep.
that's funny. Okay, thank you.
I think spend more time just watching it. Also, dude, like you can bug me all day long. I know a lot of these things come up during the day, like they're random, right? I couldn't sit here and teach you about every situation because you forget about how many different situations come up. So when they pop up and you see it and you're like, what the fuck was that? Or what about this? Just send it to me so that we can talk about it. That helps me help other people too. It will not bother me.
Will do.
I mean, yep. I was trying to find a image that I have.
Also, from couple of days, I'm trying to identify and also able to identify the change of character in the candle pattern. Like if you see at 8 o'clock in the morning, there is a change of character pattern right there. It's making a small U or M. So in the lower time frame, I'm able to do that to just to identify where we are going to head. Where we are heading. So that is also helping me because it happened to me a couple of times and I missed those, I'm long and then it's going down and later I realized that, oh, there was, if I was looking in the broader time frames, like 15 or 1 hour, there was a change of character and I didn't focus enough. So yeah, this is helping me. That is also helping me.
Good.
Also, don't forget 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. I'm not sure where you are there, but that's London close as well.
I'm sorry.
That's London close. So like when you trade ES, you'll see a certain. We'll talk about these certain times.
More action,
Uh-huh.
more explosion.
You'll see characteristics change like right after London close a lot of times.
So one other thing that as far as divergence, that I just saw a snip of something before. Another good reversal or another good stopping point or something to remember to keep in your pocket is the majority of the time, price is going to stop at the divergence point, wherever there's divergence. And when price trades up to it, it's going to stop and reverse there. That's going to be where it dies. And the only time it really doesn't do that is when the algo's explosive. It's just explosive and running away with things. Otherwise, the majority of the time you get divergence, whether it's big or small, it's going to stop right there and reverse back down. And you have the ability to control or watch what price is doing, even down to the smallest movement, because kind of like what Steve was saying, even though we had that big trend for the algos, all of this action right here is still affecting price on a smaller scale. So you're going to have these tiny little divergences that can also help you when you execute, when it's time to execute. If it's time to take an entry here and you have a tiny little divergence here, that's, not really in the big picture what we're looking at, but it tells you that price is going to come back.
Is the algos and flow index the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I should say flow index. So that's kind of 1 minute. The other thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit bigger time frame.
Josh, did you talk about the volatility and how it, how do you apply it to what you're teaching us? Do you look at it and see it, it's spiking 20%, I should maybe try a different approach.
As far as how aggressive it moves.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so yes and no. One is you can see when a ton of aggressive programs hit, you can see the line just extend. It'll be super aggressive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that price is going to reflect the same thing, because it could be absorbed. It could, a ton of things could happen. So I don't really monitor that too much. Two things though, I will look at. One, you can get an explosive move or direction, and it will extend, but then it will start to shrink back down. When it starts to shrink back down, that was one flurry of programs. They're not continuing to hit price, and it's the line shrinking back down because there's nothing firing on it. So that tells me that's not that aggressive. The other thing is really, when there's momentum, it has nothing to do with, faster speed. It will just keep extending. There's not going to be any sell programs or any dominant selling that's going to affect the line. It's just going to keep extending. That's when you can tell there's strength in either direction. Otherwise, I don't look into that too much. I would more gauge how price reacts to the line as far as, I guess, volatility or strength. I'm looking for what's happening underneath. So we got buy programs firing off and price is not going anywhere. Okay, so what's that telling me? We got sell programs firing off and price is moving up. What's that telling me? So we have all these different scenarios that maybe I should actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a document or sheet that has a bunch of different scenarios and then give it to you guys as kind of a cheat sheet on what things look like. Would that be helpful?
Yes,
Okay.
I like that.
So as far as your volatility question, I don't really know. I don't know if I'm tackling that, but I don't really look at it like that. I don't know.
Paul, Hank here, right? One really, really dumb question. All right. I know
No
this
such thing.
is the first question that should have been asked in the start. What is this flow index in the first place? Like, what does it tell you? Is it like a dark pool thing, or is it like a combined orders and combined dark pool and regular orders combined, or is it just regular orders that are in the market?
There's no dark orders in it. The dark pool line is separate. This is just a culmination of things that we've tried to nail down to gauge the different programs that fire. And somebody taught me this. It's not, I have my own tweaks and twists on it, and Trax has added his touch to it, but somebody who'd been in the market since the 80s, really smart guy, and he's an asshole, but he taught me this. But it's proprietary, bro, so I'm not gonna break it down for you.
Oh, okay. It's just regular order flow. Let's put
Yeah, yep,
put it like that. Okay, cool.
Yep. Who asked that question about volatility? Because I just don't feel like I've probably answered or gave you what you were looking for.
No, that made sense, Josh. Thanks.
Okay. So another thing, as far as we get into the big picture a little bit and being able to nail down the direction. So I thought about this for a while today, Hank, and you're like, oh, teach me how to make 6K. And I'm like, I am teaching you how. Like, this is exactly what I do. Like, what I'm telling you and trying to teach you is exactly what I do. but I thought about it a little bit more, and
Bring
I
your plate.
think a big difference in my approach to things than a lot of people is how heavily I lean on the big picture, right? And how much time we've spent analyzing the big picture and knowing that something goes from point A to point B, and that's just the way it is. I don't need to figure out why or the puzzle or whatever. I just know from the amount of time I've been watching that that's what happens. And so for me, I lean heavily on that. And so today I leaned heavily on the fact that we hit the daily 3.5, which is usually a capper. We fell back in the daily, and when we fall back in the daily and the primary cycles that we discussed last week, the daily and the 4 hour are crossed down, we're going to the daily mid. That's where we're going, unless something else that we've discussed, unless something else that's relevant is there to stop price, then we are 100% getting to our target. And that's how I approach it every time. I don't say, is this the time it's not going to work? Or, oh, maybe it's not going to happen this time. Like every single time, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that's how I think. And so putting the whole thing together on the big picture and being able to rely on that makes all the difference in the world, because then, like you're talking about, Steve, the flinching from the algos or running into a small time frame level doesn't have any effect on what I'm doing, right? It's just temporary to what's actually going to happen overall. And so the other thing is to tie into with that, if we have selling, we have a top and we have selling aggressive on a bigger time frame for algos. We change this to the web version. Hang on a second.
No.
I'm sorry, Nina. I'm actually feeling very sad.
Can you see this new image that I drug in? Or is it still on the desktop?
Now we can
Yeah,
see
I
four
can
screens.
see it.
You see the web version?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So let's see. So let's look at ES here. So what do we have here? We have the daily top capped us out here, the daily 3.5. We're back in the daily, and we have nearly a month of selling. So we have divergence that's been building. And this is part of, how do I time this? How do I know this selling's happening? They've been selling the shit out of it. Like, do I get in here? Do I get in here? Where do I get in? And that's the importance of those levels that we use. So this price stopped right at the daily 3.5. That's where price got capped off at. So that tells me, bing, that's the top. Okay, it's time for this to start playing out, because this is happening before price, it shows in price. So this is next. Once we get to our destination, this is what's happening. And so once we get into the daily top here, I'm all 100% committed to my target. I'm 100% committed to daily mid right here. The amount of times that I've seen that process fail is so minimal. And I'm sure Pete's been around long enough. Keith has been around long enough. Mitch has even been around long enough to at least know, even if you can't execute it fully yet, that process just happens. It's just the fucking way it is. I don't know why, but it is. And so you can't, there's no possible way you're going to bang out a fucking monster trade or hammer something heavy if you don't have a concept and a grasp of the big picture and the big trend that's happening.
Are you pooping?
And then,
If you
And
poop,
then-
it's there.
and then be able to commit to it. There's just no way. If you're trying to take a short up here and you're skidded out by whatever's happening, you know, a couple points down, this right here doesn't exist for you. So you have to watch the big picture, watch this stuff enough so that you can trust this process, trust what we're saying, what I'm saying, and know that it's not bullshit, and that's what happens. So
As like a day trader scalper, what top would you target like every time? 15 minute? That's kind of where I'm lacking right now.
so it's the same thing, right? Like I am a day trader and scalper. I just started swinging again, but in general, my occupation is a scalper, right? Like I'm scalping all day, but my scalps, my goal a few years ago was I just set in stone. I want the whole fucking trade. I want to start hitting fucking big trades. Like I wanted to trade to get rich and make a lot of money, not, a couple $100 here and there. That's, people can lie and say that that's not what drew them in, but that's what drew me in. I want to make a shit ton of money and be my own boss. That's why I started trading. And so scalping these little dinker donkers here and there wasn't getting me to what I wanted. So I started focusing on the whole trend. Where's point A? Where's point B? Where does things stop? And trying to extend my scalps longer and longer. So I'm still a scalper, but I'm watching the big picture, because while I'm scalping during the day, if I'm watching the big picture and I know this move is there, then I'm going to scalp it, right? Like I'm going to trade that. Otherwise, if it's not there and I'm not trying the trade's just not there, then yeah, I'm on the 5-minute channels all day long. I used to be on the 15s, but in this market, I dropped actually down to the 5s. So otherwise, I start at the big picture. I'm looking for this range, looking for trades, looking for breakouts, looking for what's available based on how we analyze everything. If there's nothing there, then I'm scalping just like small trades, because it's what I got to do. I got to take inside bull shot on the 5-minute channels, or take the golden pocket, retrace, whatever it is. But I'm aware of the big picture. And so I think that's what you should focus on growing into, dude, because, but not stress it. It's a process. But even though you want to scalp and get dialed down and have everything perfect for, just scalping, at the end of the day, bro, I know you too. You're not doing this because you want to make a couple $100, even a couple grand a month. Yeah, that'd be great for you right now. But at the end of the day, that's not why you want to do this. You want to do it to fucking smash. You want to be a trader. And in order to do that, you have to be able to see the big picture. There's just no way around it. And the other thing is, for your scalping, how many times do you come across a candle that's kind of like what Steve's talking about, a couple candles that are hard in the other direction, they flinch you and throw you off your fucking game, but in the whole big picture of the trend, they don't mean shit, right? They have no relevance onto what's going on. These two little candles that just made you unload your position, laughing at you. And so the only way to grow out of that is by the big picture. There's just no other way. You can't find a tool, the perfect tool that's going to keep you in or whatever. You can have things that help you, but you have to be able to evaluate the big picture, and you have to be able to see that process happen over and over and over so that you have confidence in it. Sorry, talking a lot. We don't have a lot of charts going, do we? Any questions in here? No. Okay, so as far as the big picture and going in that direction, you need to implement this as well. It might not matter. It might not be relevant for the day that's happening. Like right now, if it's this day right here and we have, algo selling and we know they're selling, but this is an uptrend right here. This day's up, so it didn't affect us. But you need to be aware of this because of when you arrive at big target levels. When you get to these big target levels, it's gonna click. Oh shit, we're at our destination and we've been selling for the past month. There's no way this is blowing past one of those big targets. Then you're in at a turn, a big picture turn, which makes all the difference in the world. So part of evaluating the big picture process now is that you guys need to add the 15-minute algos. It's just a glance. We're just checking in at them and seeing what's happening on whether they're going to help me for the day, whether we got something coming up, or whether it's just not relevant for that day. All right, what else? Guys are quiet today.
Do you ever drop fib levels on the flow index?
I mean, I think somebody was. I'm sure you could. Oops.
But not necessary, really.
No, I literally have no experience doing it. I've never done it. I know, I don't remember if it was Bruce. I don't remember, but somebody was messing around with it. I just never have. I imagine maybe logically it makes sense.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah. Lots of people have asked that. Anything else you guys want to cover? I'm gonna make a sheet that has absorption, distribution, divergence, just a bunch of different situations with the flow index. I don't know why I've never done that. Just for a cheat sheet for you guys to have. All right, open topic if you guys want to talk about anything.
When you have like a setup that you always take, and then you have a day where it doesn't present itself, like I remember one Friday I was like, man, I hate days like this. And it was just like straight up the whole day, and you're like, why? Like this is straight up, like you don't like this, and it I like basically like psyched myself out. I knew it was going up. I knew it was a trend day. I knew it would stay going up, but like I just psyched myself out of it and just kept waiting for a pullback that never happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and honestly, that's a better habit to break or learn or adapt from than chasing shit like that. You know, because you're gonna lose more often than you're gonna win chasing those. But honestly, the reason I remember that, so the reason is like those breakout days are what I'm talking about as far as like, so what I hunt primarily, or not what I hunt, but what I like to find is the big picture when it opens up and there's no other big picture tools in the way. Like when we accelerated, you know, a couple weeks ago, the reason we accelerated is because we broke out of everything and there was no other big picture restrictions. And so that's what I'm always looking for, gaps in the big picture. And just like that, those acceleration days, those are the days when I loosen up and I just hammer, I go heavier on my positions. I'm a little looser on my entries because I know that when we are in those gaps, it's going to get covered. It's going to go all the way to where it's supposed to go. And so I take those days to make up ground if I've lost any too. So to answer your question, it's just circling back to the same thing.
You know, the bigger picture.
Yep.
And
But it's nothing wrong with waiting for a setup to happen. Like you're going to be happier with yourself waiting for a setup like you did rather than chasing something and getting smashed and being like, dude, why the fuck did I do that?
Do you have like any times that you're like 6:30 to 7? I don't trade. Like I know some people like they won't trade the first 30, or you are like we'll move
I'll
out
trade
of-
in the morning if I'll trade at the bell if I have a setup. Like today, I was in at the bell. It was set up completely, the retrace to the bottom of the fives. And if my setup happens at the bell, then I'll take the trade.
Do you
Otherwise, I don't mess with it.
Do you let upcoming news ever dictate if you cut something early, or you target every time? For me, I feel like you try to hit the target every time. Like you don't.
I do,
I've had-
but still like now, like right now, like there's just wild shit happening with price. Like even if it's just temporary, you know, we're still point A to point B, but some wild shit happens in the middle in there. So I have been watching more than typical because of that reason. Not because I think it's going to change things overall, but just whatever position I'm in, I don't want to deal with.
Funkiness.
Yeah. And then also like right now, like I haven't been trading midday. Like I've been just doing other stuff or messing around because it's just, I've had a bunch of days this year where it's just, I've just gotten spun out like in the middle of the day because, you know, just getting stuck watching a 1 minute candle and getting yanked back and forth and then snapping out of it and been like, what am I doing? So I stopped trading the middle of the day.
How much delta on do you like look at? Like, do you even take note of that, like on the profile, or like, what is your profile? I guess on the right,
Just volume.
just
Just-
volume.
Just buying and selling, but I do I have delta on my DOM, so I closed it out. Oh damn it. I'll
So-
send you a screenshot on my DOM. I have a delta profile.
How do you define delta? Because I've asked multiple people and like kind of get a different answer every time. Like do you
There's
look at
different
it like
kinds.
like traps, like if there's like a delta, like there's a delta on the ask at 420 today. Like remember how it bounced off 420? Like would you consider that trap sellers?
I don't look at that
You
No.
don't look at
because I have flow index. If I didn't use flow index, then probably I would, but that could probably just start contradicting each other. And there's, you know, there's delta percentage, there's cumulative delta, there's just regular delta, there's just, I have cumulative delta here at the bottom of my screen just for aggression, and that's about it. Otherwise, maybe if I'm like messing around with footprints or something, but typically that stuff for me personally, it takes too much calculation. Like one thing I've done and tried to do and been taught is to simplify everything. So I've just tried to make everything as simple as I can. And if I start looking at profiles and delta and leaning on that too much, it just like overthink like what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
But everybody's different. Everybody processes things different. And so if it's something that's comfortable for the way you think and the way you respond and react, then and you like it, like I said earlier, keep using something. The biggest mistake traders make is they use something and it works a couple days, and then the day it doesn't, they don't like it and they go on to something new. And that's just the worst thing you can do, because you need to understand how something works in all environments.
Mhm.
How you doing, Keith? Good. Sweet. Good to see you.
Hey, can you hear me? I'll try to speak on this one.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything you guys want to cover?
One thing I'll just add about the delta thing is you
Oh,
can
yeah,
use it
Frank's-
in a number of ways, right? But if you're trying to use it like on a the way the profile is or price based, it's just basically the ask volume minus the bid volume, and one's going to be either positive or negative, and then that's the simplest way that I can put it. But you know, because there's options delta, and that's something, you know, that used differently, I guess is what I'm getting at. But I think delta is useful if that's your trading style, but I don't think it's something that you need to wrap your head around if you're using this concept here, because this concept here is going to simplify where you don't need to try to look at numbers and do calculations.
Yeah.
If that's not what you want to do. As much as I hate to say it, I like being difficult, right? So I have a more nonsense than I need to, but really if I dumbed it down and simplified it, I'd probably be better, and I probably do better. But I like to complicate things because that's just how I am. And it takes a while to wrap your head around, but this structure and this concept and strategy is very simple. And many times a day, I mean, just, you know, I'm new, right? But just as many times a day as I've just kind of been drawing things out and looking for setups, they play out many times throughout the day. And you may not get your 100 points or your 50, but if you're trading NQ and you're trying to stack up, you know, 10, 20, 30 point runs, it's very easy to rack a couple up throughout the day, personally.
Mhm.
Thank you.
What is that? What does anyone have an opinion on what they think is going to happen tomorrow? Where we're going?
It's gonna go to the right.
Up 4 hours, top one is buy or higher.
Get up on SPY.
Yeah, I think if we can stay in the upper, well, I think tech is going to be a big factor, right? But if NQ or tech or the Qs, if we can stay up in this upper range where we are now, I think we have a propensity to shift towards that big volume point of control area from yesterday's profile into like 15.3. I think if we fall below like 15.2, maybe 15.180, then I think we may visit the bottom half and into the 15.1, but that's just obviously a guess.
Okay, so this is just something that I forgot. Some of you will know this. Some of you won't. So here's a trick for the channels. So if I have a 4-hour channel and a 4-hour MACD, if the 4-hour MACD is crossed down, then price cannot exit the top. The top channel is closed, locked door, it's shut down. Price will not break it if it's crossed down. If the MACD is crossed up, then price cannot exit the bottom of the channels. And that goes for every time frame. So whatever time frame, daily, 5-minute, 15-minute, the corresponding time frame MACD will tell you if the top or the bottom channel is locked and closed and price cannot exit it. The other thing is when we close outside.
Paul, can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Yeah.
I
So-
suddenly started, I gotta write this
Okay.
stuff.
So whatever time frame channels, if it's, we'll just say 4-hour daily, the corresponding time frame MACD. So if we're on the 4-hour, the 4-hour MACD will tell you if the bottom channel or the top channel's door is closed. So if it's crossed down, then the top is closed. If it's crossed up, the bottom is closed. Price cannot leave the bottom. Price cannot leave the top, vice versa. That's good for any time frame. So there's some caveats when, you know, the MACD is about to cross or it's sloped and it's close to crossing, that price might break through if there's acceleration, or if it's after hours and there's ER and it blows up, then obviously it's not going to matter. But in general, that's something that you can rely on. The other thing is when we close the day outside the 4 hour or the daily, more often than not, we're going to continue in that direction the next day. So if we close outside the bottom of the 4 hour right here, then we're most likely going to continue on a bearish trend the outside. So I would say that would be a for sure thing tomorrow if this 4 hour 50 didn't grab hold of price still. Can somebody have a chart up and tell me what ES's daily mid is at? Does that make sense about the open and closed door? 4422. I don't know why.
Yes, ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So we did hit it today. We hit the daily mid today?
Yep.
Okay. Well, shit, that's clear. So we could go up. But
That's what I was looking at. And we are heading on ES mid and for a SPY for our top.
you have price back inside the 4 hour?
Yes.
What the heck?
It hit the 4 hour bottom, which is where I entered, but yeah.
Is yours the same, Viva?
No.
Not yet.
I posted a chart in chat trade. I don't know, just trade room chat actually. What I'm looking at. So
It closed below the 4 hour. Okay, you have the same thing.
yeah, so we are going for 4 hour mid to top. This is what I'm expecting, but anything can change. We had a 50% retrace from the harmonic that I had been.
Yeah, yours is off.
Mine is off.
Yeah. Does everyone else's trading you have price closed outside the 4 hour? Keith does, and what? Keith, you're on TOS? And Viva's is outside it.
Yeah, mine's outside.
Do you have after hours setting on?
Yes.
Why is yours off so bad? We need to figure out why. Keith's is too.
Well, when he's looking at S&P, it's not ES.
This is just
Okay. Okay, good call.
They're
All
different
right.
on it.
Yep.
You'll
Okay.
be inside on SPY and outside on ES.
Yeah.
so
All
my
right.
chart is off. You're saying?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No, you're just using the SPY ticker. We were looking at the futures ticker.
I thought you were on ES, so my fault.
No, I share both ES as well as SPY.
Your ES is outside, right? Yep. Okay. Yeah, you're good. Sweet. All right. Anything else, guys?
No.
Nope.
No, I'm
No, I think it's pretty good. Just going off. I know there's somebody talking tomorrow, some Fed person. So heads on a swivel.
Maybe we will get a SPY 4 hour mid reject ES for bottom out bull short. Sorry, beer short.
On Friday? Shit, it is. Yeah, we might get that. I think we'll probably see in the morning whether whether ES is back in the 4 hour or not.
Yeah, the 15th is getting tight right now too.
Yeah.
I have a swing on a SPY, both call.
Cool. All right, guys. Good stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, you guys do this weekly?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. And
Mhm.
try and keep it streamlined, and then we'll break it to some other stuff. But trying to get everyone kind of a foundation, and then we can start, diving deeper on stuff. But I've noticed that people don't have a foundation typically is the biggest hurdle. They just try a bunch of random stuff and it just doesn't
Like
pan
building a
out.
house.
Yep, exactly.
So,
Cool.
anyways, we'll go eat. Then I
All
gotta
right, guys. Have a good night.
Later.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks a lot.
Great,
Likewise.
Have a great day, everyone.